Meet Walter. Walter is worth $4 billion. He is 62, lives in a Manhattan penthouse he barely uses, has 3 houses on 3 continents, and owns a yacht he has been on exactly 11 times. On paper, Walter is the American dream. In reality, Walter has a problem most of us would kill for. He has too much money. Specifically, he has too much money that the government wants a piece of. His accountants tell him that on this year's gains alone, he is looking at a federal tax bill in the tens of millions. And that bothers Walter. Not because he cannot afford it, he can. It bothers Walter because Walter believes, deep in the bones of his wealthy little soul, that taxes are for other people. So on a Tuesday in November, Walter does what rich people do when they have too much money and not enough legal strategies to hide it. He buys a painting, $94 million, some abstract thing. Splotches of red on a canvas the size of a garage door. Walter does not even particularly like it. He could not tell you what it is supposed to mean, but he buys it anyway. He buys it specifically because he does not like it. Because Walter is not buying art. Walter is buying a tax instrument. And here's the part that is going to make you furious. Every single thing Walter is about to do is completely legal. It is all in the tax code. It has all been there for decades. And it is one of the quietest, most elegant wealth preservation schemes in the global economy, hiding in plain sight behind the word collecting. Let me show you exactly what is really happening when you see a news article about a painting selling for $100 million. The auction house in question is one of the big 3. You know the names: Sotheby's, Christie's, Phillips. Everything about the evening is theater. The bidding paddles, the hushed room, the auctioneer with the pinstripe suit, using a British accent whether he is British or not, the dramatic pauses, the feigned surprise when a bid crosses $50 million. None of this is real, and I mean that technically. Before a painting like this ever reaches the auction floor, the auction house has already lined up the buyers. They know who is interested. They have private conversations in private rooms. They negotiate what are called guarantees, which means one of the bidders has agreed in advance to pay at least a certain amount for the painting, regardless of what happens in the public auction. If nobody else bids higher, they buy it at the guarantee. If someone does bid higher, they still get a cut for agreeing to back the sale. This is not cheating. This is literally the business model. The public auction is a marketing event. The real price is largely decided behind closed doors weeks earlier, so Walter and the auction house have already worked this out. Walter is going to buy this painting. The only question was what number to publicly announce. They settled on $94 million, because it sounds better than $92 million, and because Walter's ego is worth $2 million in marketing value to him. The auction happens. Walter wins. The art world gasps appropriately. The painting is reported in the news. Now the game starts. Here's the first thing you need to understand that nobody on the evening news will ever tell you. Walter's $94 million painting is not going home with him. Walter's painting is going to Geneva, Switzerland. Specifically, it is going to a facility called the Geneva Freeport, which is a warehouse. A big, very secure, climate-controlled warehouse that sits in a special legal zone outside of any country's normal tax jurisdiction. The Geneva Freeport alone is estimated to contain over $100 billion worth of art. Most of it has never been seen by anyone who is not a security guard. Paintings worth hundreds of millions of dollars are sitting in crates in Switzerland right now, unhung, unseen, unenjoyed, for years, for decades. The Geneva Freeport has paintings that have not been looked at by their owners since the Clinton administration, and here is why that matters. The moment Walter has the painting shipped directly from the auction to the Geneva Freeport, he legally avoids paying Swiss import taxes. He also avoids paying U.S. sales tax because the painting never entered the United States. He also avoids capital gains tax on the appreciation because the painting is, from a legal standpoint, perpetually in transit. It never arrives. It never leaves. It just sits for $94 million in a warehouse in Switzerland. And other free ports exist too. Singapore has one. Luxembourg has one. Delaware, yes, the state of Delaware, has its own domestic free port for Americans who want the same tax benefits without flying across the Atlantic. These facilities collectively house hundreds of billions of dollars in art that exists, on paper, nowhere. It is not in any country. It is not earning any income. It is not triggering any taxes. It just is, quietly, earning value. Walter could legally never see this painting again for the rest of his life. And that would actually be the optimal financial outcome. Now we get to the part I personally hate the most. Walter is now sitting on a painting valued at $94 million. Over the next 5 years, the art market continues doing what the art market does, which is make rich people richer. The painting gets appraised at $150 million. Walter has a $56 million paper gain. Normally, if Walter sold the painting for $150 million, he would owe capital gains tax on that $56 million, a significant amount, maybe $15 to $20 million to the government. So Walter does not sell it. Instead, Walter does something the tax code has generously permitted for decades. He donates the painting to a museum. Not all of it. A fractional donation, which used to mean he could literally give the museum 10% of the painting while keeping the painting on his own wall for the other 90% of the year. Congress tightened this loophole in 2006, but the broader strategy still works beautifully. When Walter donates the painting to a museum, the IRS lets him deduct the full appraised value of the donation from his taxable income. So Walter donates the painting, valued at $150 million, and receives a $150 million charitable deduction. Let me break that down in plain English. Walter paid $94 million for a painting. He let it sit in a warehouse in Switzerland for 5 years. He never used it. He never saw it. He never paid capital gains tax on its appreciation. Then he donated it to a museum, which is technically a charitable act, and the government let him write off $150 million from his taxes. He paid 94. He wrote off 150. He never took a single financial risk the rest of us would recognize. And his net tax savings for this entire maneuver can easily exceed the price of the painting itself. Oh, and the cherry on top? Because Walter donated a piece of culturally significant art, the museum puts his name on a plaque, the Walter something or other wing. Suddenly, Walter is a philanthropist, a cultural hero, a patron of the arts. Articles are written about Walter's generous gift to the community. Walter made tens of millions of dollars doing this. He is not a philanthropist. He is a man who successfully used the IRS as an unwitting partner in an investment scheme. Here is the thing that, once you see it, you cannot unsee. Art prices at the top end of the market have almost nothing to do with art. The market value of a $100 million painting is not determined by what the painting looks like, what it represents culturally, or how many people want to own it. It is determined by the small group of ultra-wealthy collectors who use art as a wealth storage vehicle, and the auction houses and galleries that serve them. Think about it this way. A single abstract painting gets sold at auction for $94 million. 5 years later, the same painting gets appraised at $150 million. Who decides that the painting is worth $150 million now? An appraiser. Who hires the appraiser? The owner. Who pays the appraiser? The owner. Is the appraiser going to come back with a number that is lower than what the owner wants? No, she is not. The appraisal industry, in this segment of the market, is a small network of specialists who quietly understand that their ongoing employment depends on providing valuations that serve the collectors who pay them. The result is that paintings owned by wealthy collectors appreciate reliably, on paper, at whatever rate the collectors need them to appreciate. And here is the part that connects it all. Those market prices get reported in the news as actual facts. A painting sells for $100 million. That number goes into the record books. Other similar paintings are then valued relative to that sale. The entire pricing structure of the high-end art market is essentially a feedback loop of insiders confirming each other's asset valuations, which then get treated by the IRS and other institutions as genuine market data. It is the most elegant self-referential valuation scheme on Earth, and every regular person looks at those prices and assumes they mean something about beauty, history, or aesthetic significance. They don't. They mean something about tax shelters. And I would be lying if I did not mention the one thing all of this is quietly, structurally, perfectly suited for: money laundering. Art is one of the last asset classes on Earth where you can transact multi-million-dollar amounts with extremely limited documentation requirements. For decades, the art market was explicitly exempt from most anti-money laundering regulations that governments imposed on banks, real estate, and other financial sectors. This has tightened slightly in recent years, but the art market still runs looser than almost any other high-value market. You want to move dirty money from country A to country B without the banking system flagging it? Buy a painting in A, sell it in B, and collect clean money on the other side. Some of those transactions happen through the public auction market, where the appearance of legitimacy provides cover. Many of them happen in private sales between collectors, which are often undocumented and untraceable. European Parliament reports have repeatedly flagged free ports and the broader art market as high risk for money laundering. US lawmakers have, occasionally, muttered about tightening these rules. Very little has actually changed, because the people who benefit from the system as it exists have the lobbying budget to make sure it stays this way. The critique is not that every $100 million painting sale is dirty money. It is that the infrastructure is wide open. And when infrastructure is wide open and largely unregulated, certain kinds of people will use it for certain kinds of things. You can fill in that blank yourself. So here we are, back to Walter. Walter bought a painting for $94 million. He never saw it. It lived in a warehouse in Switzerland. He avoided sales tax, capital gains tax, and property tax on the asset for 5 years. He then donated it to a museum, received a $150 million charitable deduction, and ended up net positive on the whole arrangement after tax savings. His name is now on a wall in a major American museum. He used the art market, the tax code, the free port system, and the philanthropy industry as a single, integrated, legal wealth preservation machine. And when you read the news next month and see that some painting you have never heard of sold for $130 million, you now know what is actually happening. You are not watching an art market. You are watching the richest people in the world quietly optimize their tax bills, while the rest of us pay ours in full every April because we cannot afford an abstract painting to shuffle around the planet for 5 years. The point. It was never the point. The art is the cover story for the financial engineering. And the financial engineering is a system designed specifically to let the wealthiest people on Earth pay a much lower effective tax rate than the teacher who lives next to you. That is in the tax code. That is published. That is legal. That is the game works. And the reason most people do not know how it works is because it is designed to be boring, paperwork heavy, and wrapped in the language of culture and philanthropy so that the fury it should provoke never quite lands.